You know, Ken Jeong has been in animation and a lot of movies lately. I'm just getting sick and tired of seeing him in movies. What is up, my film critics? It's your director, Caleb Barcelos, and I am back doing another review. Alright, guys, I'm not proud of this one, but I'm reviewing Scoob. Okay, now, you guys are probably wondering, like, why am I not happy about this? Because I'm a Scooby Doo fan. I loved the cartoons when I was a kid, and I still kind of do. I enjoy it. It's funny. It's adorable sometimes. And I've seen the live action movies, not in theaters, but sometimes I do. Those movies really sucked. But I might like those more than I liked this. Trust me. And I want to explain. Before I end the video, I want to do a comparison of both of those movies. Let me go ahead and just talk about Scoob, though. The most recent Scooby Doo movie that came out, it's completely animated, CGI. It was supposed to be released in theaters, but because of you-know-what, they had to drop it off for on demand and also to stream online. And so I streamed it. Sorry. And I am not happy about this one, guys. I am not kidding. So, we start this movie off with a young Shaggy and a pup named Scooby. So, Shaggy is a friendless person, has no life, and so he feels lonely on the beach and he eats a sandwich all by himself. And then Scooby comes along, and then Shaggy meets him for the first time. They kind of bond upon first meet, which usually does not follow the same formula as like a buddy movie. You know, usually a buddy movie is like they don't get along upon first meet, and then eventually they'll bond, and then they'll have an argument. That argument gets resolved. Things are okay in the end. They don't do it here, which I thought was okay. But the thing is like, this movie is supposed to be like an origin story about how Shaggy meets Scooby, and he named Scooby after the Scooby snacks. People thought for the longest time, was Scooby named after the snacks, or were the snacks named after Scooby? And for me, I didn't really care about the logic behind that. So anyways, Shaggy takes care of Scooby, and then when Halloween comes around, they meet Fred, Daphne, and Velma. And for the first time, they see this haunted house with bats, you know, like the intro to Scooby Doo, Where Are You? And then they solve their first mystery. You know, this monster was hunting, like, kids who come up to the house, but it's just a guy in a mask. The same Scooby Doo that we're used to. This is the only good parts in the movie. The only. Because in this moment, they're taking nods to the mystery solving. But a majority of the movie is not like that. And I'll explain in a moment. So they grow up to be adults. They have this one moment in the diner where literally they're approached by Simon Cowell from America's Got Talent. Yeah, you heard me right. Simon Cowell. The Simon Cowell. And the only purpose he had in this movie was to tell the whole gang that Shaggy and Scooby don't belong in this group, that they're the weakest members of the team and they're dragging the others down. And Simon Cowell ruins their friendship. So Simon Cowell ruins the friendship of the Mystery Inc. gang. Okay, so Scooby and Shaggy are upset, okay? They separate from the gang, and then they go bowling. Okay, whatever. I don't know why they chose bowling, but who cares? And then these robot creatures start coming after them. And then they go in this alley, and then they're taken up by this beam of light, and it turns out it leads to a spaceship called the, gosh, what's it called again? The Falcon Fury, yeah.
IKEA?
Did you just say IKEA?
No, I said Falcon Fury, just like you.
Yeah, right. Like, Scoob, this is a big disappointment, man. They made us look like boneheads.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not an impressionist. I didn't say these were good impressions. Okay, look. The reason why I hated this movie is because at this moment they shifted the formula of Scooby-Doo completely. At first they were showing you the formula of the show. Okay, they solve mysteries. They get hired to solve mysteries, and it's always a person under a mask, and that person gets caught being like, "You darn kids and your dumb dog." But here, in the majority of the movie, the rest of the movie, the second and third act, is just a galactic space adventure with Blue Falcon and Dynamite, voiced by Mark Wahlberg and Ken Jeong. Now, okay, when I saw the trailer for this, I researched Blue Falcon and Dynamite, and they were a thing. I don't know if it was Hanna-Barbera, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was its own thing, and then they collaborated with Scooby Doo. They had a spin-off show. Not a spin-off show, but like a spin-off special. So I thought they were going to recreate that here, but I don't know, maybe they are. I'm just confused. So this movie is surprisingly complex. Why am I saying that? Well, because it is. It took me more takes to film this review than Tenet. Tenet took me like 2 takes. This took me like 20 to try to explain this movie. That is sad. Okay, let me explain some more. Hopefully you guys understand. Hopefully you can follow. Okay. So the main villain is Dick Dastardly from Wacky Races. Yeah, he's in this. And he needs Scooby-Doo because Scooby-Doo is this ancestor of some ancient dog or whatever, some ancient god. And then he's a descendant of that god. And then he needs Scooby-Doo to touch some kind of doorway to the underworld that has gold, but Mudley. Dick Dastardly's dog, Mudley. Yeah, Mudley's in this too. So the whole motivation for this villain is to have his dog back. Mudley. I can't. Okay, but seriously though. Yeah, this movie is complex. Trust me, when I first saw this movie, I could not follow. How can a kid follow this? Okay, but in all seriousness, the biggest issue I had with the movie, upon many issues, the biggest issue is that they shifted the formula. It feels like they're not happy with the property of Scooby-Doo. It's like they're ashamed of their property. It's no longer a mystery about unmasking some bad guy. Now it's a space adventure with a superhero and his robot dog. Or sorry, his part dog, robot, whatever. And yeah, that's the majority of the movie. It just feels like a space adventure. And it does not feel like Scooby-Doo. This isn't the Scooby-Doo formula that we're all familiar with. Oh yeah, and Henry Winkler's in this from Happy Days. And you know what he is? Just a voiceover. He's not even a character. He's just a voiceover named Keith who has 2 lines in this entire movie. Henry Winkler. Oh, this is the best idea I ever came up with. I can't believe I'm talking about this movie. Henry Winkler's in this. What's next? Oh yeah, Ian Armitage from Young Sheldon's Young Shaggy. He has to just voice or play young characters nowadays, doesn't he? Okay. And my other biggest issue is that despite them being separated from Fred, Daphne, and Velma, these 3 characters, especially those 3 characters, we know little to nothing about. It's like they had to have expected you to see the previous specials or the shows or the movies or whatever to understand them. It's like they're treating those as like backstory, but it's not. Scoob is its own thing. It's its own refresh of like an origin story of how Shaggy and Scooby meet and how they meet Fred, Daphne, and Velma. And we do get that one clever scene of them on Halloween dressed like what their personality is kind of like. Fred is a knight in shiny armor showing off his bravery and he's full of himself. Daphne is Wonder Woman being all confident and woman empowered. Velma is a judge because boring stuff, I don't know. I don't know why she was a judge. I thought she was going to be a scientist, honestly, but they just went with a judge because whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of like pop culture references, media buzzwords, full of today's songs. The the other issue I had, and maybe this flew over some heads of many, but the time period is something I did not understand or follow. See, the movie opens up with the song Tupac's Love, I think it was called. And we see this boy on rollerblades with a boombox playing that song. So I'm like, okay, is this like the 80s or 90s? Well, maybe it's like the early 80s or something. And then Shaggy comes along playing that song on his iPhone. And I'm like, wait a second, where are we? Shaggy has Spotify, but this kid on rollerblades is playing a boombox. So where are we? Are we in like the 2010s? Or are we in the 1980s? What are we in? What is this? The timeline makes no sense. Probably, again, flew over the head of many people. They probably didn't even notice that. But if you rewatch it, if you have seen it, just trust me, it's in the movie. It's like right at the beginning. Guys, I hated this movie. Now, okay, there are some enjoyable things. That the animation's colorful. It's got spastic, fast animation. Kids love fast animation. That there's goofy moments in the movie. But guys, this does not follow the Scooby Doo formula. It does not show Fred, Daphne, and Velma as like well-formed characters. They have their architectures, but other than that, you really have no idea who they are. You have no idea like what these characters are. And the timeline makes no sense. And the whole complicated plot of Scooby-Doo being some ancient ancestor of like this, like a goddess dog or something. I don't even know. And he has to touch a doorway to an underworld so Dick Dastardly can get Mudley back. It's so messy and everywhere. Guys, my grading for this is an F. I find no enjoyment. I found myself drool-drippingly bored. I had to watch this in increments. I had to pause it, make a sandwich. I had to drink water, use the bathroom, watch some TV, watch another movie. The point is that I can't even sit through 10 minutes without pausing it and just walking around the house, doing stretches and being bored out of my mind. This movie is a major issue, and I hated it. I absolutely hated this movie. I'm not going to crush a kid's opinion. If you have kids who love this movie, that's fine. This movie's for kids. It's fine. It's enjoyable. There are enjoyable things in the movie. So I will give it that at least. And I guess the only other pro I have is Frank Welker as Scooby-Doo. That's the only other good thing about it. But the formula, the complexity, the timeline, it makes no sense. And Simon Cowell? Simon Cowell. I can't believe it. He's the one that made Shaggy and Scooby separate from the gang in the first place. And he had one scene in this whole movie. Oh, Simon Cowell is he's a main plot point in this movie. Do I think this movie's worth buying on Blu-ray? No, I don't. I don't even think it's worth watching again. Guys, this movie sucked. It's so bad. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, fine. Don't take my word for it if you don't want to. It sucked. Okay? And I suppose if you like it, fine. I think it's okay to laugh at. Okay? This is like an animated version of The Room to me. It's just so bad. Okay. So before I end this video off, let me give a little comparison. Let me compare Scoob and the live-action Scooby Doo movies, okay? They have their own pros and cons. First, let me talk about Scoob again. Again, the formula is not the same. Yes, they took a few nods with the mystery solving at the beginning of the movie, but the formula as a whole is that it's a space adventure with a superhero, and the Scooby Doo live-action movies, they actually followed the formula, okay? Like, they actually got hired by Mr. Bean. Yeah, Rowan Atkinson's in this movie. At least they get hired to solve a mystery, okay? And there was an unmasking. So that followed the Scooby Doo formula. It's the formula we're all familiar with. Scoob is not following that formula. Now, the pro for Scoob is the animation, okay? Visually, yeah, it looks better. It looks better. I'll give it that at least. Scooby Doo, the live action movies just look crappy. That's pretty much just it. So, I guess if you're picking your poison and your prerogatives, like, well, if the visuals are good, that's what matters to me. Fine. But if you're more for the formula, the live action Scooby Doo's movies are for you. I'm just letting you guys know you don't always have to agree with what I'm saying. You can definitely follow your own prerogative. You can definitely check out Scoob for yourself and let me know how you feel. I'm just letting you know, down to the core, I hated this movie. I really did. I hated this movie. Ken Jeong was so annoying in this movie, upon many other annoying roles he's had. Gosh, he gets cast in everything now. Mark Wahlberg was not funny. And I guess I got a giggle out of the IKEA joke, but it wasn't that good of a joke anyways. They gave that away in the trailer. Guys, thanks for watching and tolerating this review. It's time for me to take a bow, and for me to say, that's a wrap. Finally.